Like, I think I'm gonna call this segment from now on When Saving Black People Has Nothing to Do with Black People, or Saving Black People Who Didn't Tell You We Wanted to Be Saved, because how else do you explain these types of stories? Robert Hardman, I guess that's the journalist. The hard up Labour Council that blew £100,000 changing the name of Black Boy Lane, even though its own survey found not a single objection from a black person, and provoked a spectacular backlash. Oh boy, what could this be about? 81% of residents rejected the idea of renaming Tottenham Lane. This is in England for those who don't know. As far as the councillors of the London Borough of Haringey are concerned, they are simply erasing a shameful blot from the neighbourhood map. Surely, they reason, it is time for an enlightened and progressive 21st century authority to expunge this legacy of unhappy bygone age. And so, as of this week, Black Boy Lane in Tottenham, as it has been for as long as anyone can remember, is no more. A road which is home to hundreds of people and a regular thoroughfare for thousands of passengers on two important bus routes has now been renamed La Rose Lane after local writer and activist John La Rose. Teresa Campbell has lived around the corner for years, she explains, and has come to visit an elderly friend who's very confused about the name change. Barris Rayner, 83, is equally dismissive. Black Boy Lane, White Boy Lane, he laughs. Who cares? Ooh, and it's already been vandalized, formerly Black Boy Lane. After all, this is one of Britain's most diverse and multicultural areas, a district in which 43% of the people describe themselves as non-white. So never mind the original budget of a mind-boggling £186,000 for changing a few road signs, including an inconvenience payment of £300 to every home along the route. And even though the council has since assured me only £100,000 was spent of that figure, that's still a vast sum for half a dozen road signs. Indeed, it's only public money. But that's not the real juicy bit. The bit I want to get into, Black Boy Lane. Perhaps by linking the renaming of this half-mile stretch of 67 and 341 bus routes to the most notorious episode of racial injustice in recent U.S. history, thus invoking the spirit of the Black Lives Matter movement, Haringey Council hopes it might win round with locals. For the awkward truth is that very few people have had any enthusiasm for this idea, let alone any problem with the old name. In fact, 81% of residents on Black Boy Lane rejected the idea when the council finally got round to asking for their opinions. Across its entire multicultural borough, home to Tottenham Hotspur's famous White Hart Lane ground and now the club's gleaming new stadium, a total of 78% came out against the idea. Most problematic of all for the culture warriors on the council, however, was that when objections were broken down by ethnicity, at which point opposition to abolishing Black Boy Lane rose to 100% among local residents identifying themselves as black. That's right, null points. Not a single black person voted to change Black Boy Lane. No one is entirely sure how the street got its name in the first place. There certainly used to be a pub at the top called the Black Boy, although as the council admits the historical origin of the pub's name is not clear. Supposedly it was named after a dog. In the 1980s, it became the Black Grape following complaints about the pub sign featuring a black face, and is now boarded up. Whether the pub took its name from the street or vice versa is unclear. Some have argued that the name was inspired by chimney sweeps, others that it was a nickname for King Charles, a reference to his black locks. The council points to historical records which show a pub on the site as far back as the 17th century. This was a time when Britain's involvement in the transatlantic slave trade was nearing its peak, and there were notable Tottenham residents with links to the slave trade. I have lived here for 25 years and it's a nice name. It's part of our heritage. Leave it alone, says cinema worker Jabirt Roberts. Within 24 hours of the week's ribbon cutting, one of the new La Rose Lane street signs had been defaced. Meanwhile, dozens of homes have now erected new metal signs saying Black Boy Lane. So much for those 300 bungs and the council's insistence that it's all designed to address inequality and celebrate the rich diversity of our borough. So normally I just rant about these little things in my head, things like changing the entire name of a street on the belief that Black people are offended. But as you can see, no Black people were involved in any of this. And this is something I've always wanted to point out. These people are doing things that are putting Black people as the target for backlash and resentment, when in fact, no Black people were involved in any of this. We weren't. Most Black people didn't care. Woke white liberals, you need to stop. You need to stop. Black people don't need to be saved by you. Black people don't need you to determine what is offensive to us. We just need you to stop.